Prepare to be shocked. Today, we're uncovering the dark secrets of corruption right here in North America. From shady deals to blatant bribery, these are the top 10 most corrupt countries on our continent. You won't believe what we found. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're passionate about exposing the truth and staying informed about the world's most pressing issues, you're in the right place. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Let's dive in. Corruption, a pervasive issue that affects countries worldwide, is particularly insidious in its impact on North America. While many might associate corruption with distant lands, it's a significant problem much closer to home, undermining democracy, stifling economic growth, and eroding public trust in institutions. The Corruption Perceptions Index, CPI, published by Transparency International, serves as a crucial tool in measuring the perceived levels of public sector corruption across various countries. This index combines expert assessments and surveys to rank countries on a scale from O, highly corrupt, to 100, very clean. The findings reveal a stark reality. Corruption in North America isn't confined to headlines about distant, unstable regions but exists within our own borders. It's essential to understand that corruption can take many forms, from bribery and embezzlement to nepotism and fraud, each damaging in its own way. It affects governance, law enforcement, healthcare, education, and virtually every sector of society. In some countries, corruption is deeply entrenched, making reform efforts challenging and often dangerous for those involved. In this video, we will uncover the 10 most corrupt countries in North America, delving into the specifics of their corruption issues, high-profile scandals, and the impact on their societies. By shedding light on these dark practices, we aim to foster a deeper understanding and drive conversations about accountability and reform. Top 10 most corrupt countries in North America. 10. Guatemala. Guatemala, a country rich in culture and natural beauty, is also marred by deep-rooted corruption. The nation struggles with pervasive corruption at all levels of government, exacerbated by powerful criminal organizations and weak institutions. High-profile scandals have exposed the extent of corruption, involving top government officials, judges, and business leaders. The International Commission Against Impunity in Guatemala, CICIG, backed by the United Nations, has played a crucial role in investigating and prosecuting corrupt officials. However, despite some successes, the fight against corruption faces significant challenges, including political interference and threats against anti-corruption activists. The public's trust in government remains low, as many feel that corruption is an insurmountable barrier to progress and justice in Guatemala. 9. Honduras. Honduras is grappling with severe corruption that permeates both the public and private sectors. The country has witnessed numerous scandals involving embezzlement, bribery, and nepotism, often linked to drug trafficking and organized crime. High-ranking officials, including former presidents, have been implicated in corruption cases. The Mission to Support the Fight Against Corruption and Impunity in Honduras, MACCIH, an initiative by the Organization of American States, OAS, was established to combat corruption but faced significant resistance from political elites. Despite public protests and international pressure, the progress in reducing corruption has been slow. The pervasive corruption undermines the rule of law, hampers economic development, and contributes to widespread poverty and inequality in Honduras. 8. Nicaragua. Nicaragua's political landscape is dominated by corruption and authoritarianism, particularly under the regime of President Daniel Ortega. The concentration of power in the hands of Ortega and his close allies has led to widespread corruption, with allegations of electoral fraud, misuse of public funds, and suppression of dissent. The judiciary and other state institutions are heavily influenced by the ruling party, making it difficult to hold corrupt officials accountable. The lack of transparency and accountability has eroded public trust and stifled democratic processes. International organizations and human rights groups have repeatedly called for reforms, but the government's grip on power remains tight, leaving little room for genuine anti-corruption efforts. 7. Mexico. Mexico faces significant corruption challenges, deeply intertwined with drug cartels and organized crime. Corruption affects various sectors, including law enforcement, judiciary, and politics. High-profile cases, such as the Casablanca scandal involving former President Enrique Peña Nieto, have highlighted the extent of corruption. Efforts to combat corruption, including the establishment of the National Anti-Corruption System, SNA, have been met with mixed results. While there have been some successes in prosecuting corrupt officials, the scale of the problem remains vast. The influence of drug cartels, who often bribe or intimidate officials, further complicates anti-corruption efforts. Public frustration with corruption has led to significant political shifts, including the election of Andrés Manuel López Obrador, who promised to tackle corruption as a key priority. 6. Dominican Republic. The Dominican Republic's corruption issues are pervasive, affecting government, business, and law enforcement. Major scandals, such as the Odebrecht bribery case, have revealed extensive corruption networks involving high-ranking officials. The judiciary system is often criticized for its lack of independence and susceptibility to political influence, making it difficult to pursue corruption cases effectively. Efforts to address corruption have included legislative reforms and the establishment of anti-corruption bodies, but these measures have been insufficient to stem the tide of corruption. Public discontent is growing, with increasing demands for transparency and accountability from civil society and international observers. 5. El Salvador. El Salvador has made some strides in addressing corruption, but significant challenges remain. Corruption is prevalent in politics, law enforcement, and the judiciary. The country has witnessed several high-profile corruption cases involving former presidents and government officials. The International Commission Against Impunity in El Salvador, CICIES, supported by the OAS, aims to tackle corruption and impunity, but its effectiveness has been hindered by political resistance and limited resources. The pervasive nature of corruption undermines public trust in institutions and hampers efforts to promote economic development and social justice. Despite these challenges, there is a growing movement among civil society organizations and the public to demand greater transparency and accountability. 4. Panama. Panama, known for its strategic canal and vibrant economy, is also infamous for corruption, particularly in its banking and financial sectors. The Panama Papers scandal exposed the extensive use of offshore accounts and shell companies to hide wealth and evade taxes by individuals and corporations worldwide, including prominent Panamanian figures. Corruption extends to public procurement, political financing, and the judiciary, where bribery and nepotism are common. Efforts to address corruption have included legal reforms and the establishment of anti-corruption bodies, but enforcement remains weak. The public's frustration with corruption is palpable, and there are increasing calls for more robust measures to ensure transparency and accountability. 3. Haiti. Haiti, the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere, is plagued by corruption that hinders its development and exacerbates its humanitarian crises. Corruption affects all levels of government, from local officials to the highest echelons of power. Mismanagement of international aid, embezzlement of public funds, and electoral fraud are rampant. The Petrocaribe scandal, involving the misappropriation of billions of dollars in funds meant for development projects, sparked widespread protests and demands for accountability. The weak judiciary system and lack of political will to address corruption make it difficult to implement effective reforms. Despite the challenges, there is a growing movement among the Haitian people to fight corruption and demand justice. 2. Cuba. Cuba, under the one-party rule of the Communist Party, faces significant corruption issues, particularly related to state enterprises and the allocation of resources. The lack of transparency and accountability in the government fosters an environment where bribery and nepotism thrive. Corruption is often linked to the black market, where goods and services are traded illegally due to shortages and strict government controls. Efforts to combat corruption are hampered by the centralized nature of power and the absence of independent institutions to hold officials accountable. While the government occasionally conducts anti-corruption campaigns, these are often seen as politically motivated and fail to address the root causes of corruption. 1. Venezuela. Venezuela tops the list as the most corrupt country in North America, with corruption deeply embedded in its political and economic systems. The country has experienced severe economic decline, hyperinflation, and a humanitarian crisis, largely due to the mismanagement and corruption of the ruling regime. High-ranking officials, including those close to President Nicolas Maduro, have been implicated in embezzlement, money laundering, and drug trafficking. The collapse of public services, such as healthcare and education, is a direct result of widespread corruption and the diversion of public funds. International sanctions and efforts to investigate and prosecute corrupt officials have had limited success, as the government maintains a tight grip on power. The Venezuelan people continue to suffer the consequences of corruption, with shortages of basic necessities and widespread poverty. Thanks for watching. If you found this video eye-opening, Make sure to give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into the world's most pressing issues. Hit that bell icon so you're notified every time we upload a new video. Until next time, stay informed and stay vigilant.